Hello guys. One question that is often asked by individuals is what is a hazard? A hazard is a biological, chemical, or physical agent that is reasonably likely to cause illness or injury in the absence of its control. Let's go look at some examples of hazards and see how we can prevent them in the lab.
This piece of glass has blood on it. I'm going to dispose of it in here.
Stop! If it has blood or any fluids on it, put it in the biohazard container.
I have no idea whether this chemical is flammable or corrosive. I'm just going to put it here.
Wait, stop. Make sure you always know if the chemical is flammable or corrosive, and depending on what it is, store it in the right cabinet.
I have no idea what these two chemicals are, but I'm going to mix them and see what happens.
No, stop. Always know what chemicals you're dealing with before dealing with them, and know information about each one before you do experiments with each of the chemicals.
Wait, do I have
I have two chemicals here in which I have to perform a lab with, but I have no information about either one of them. So I will be referring to the SDS to gather
the last
information.
one's a minute long.
Perfect. Always refer to the SDS prior to using the chemical in an
And
experiment.
which one is
Yeah. I have broken glass. I'm going to dispose it into the trash.
No! It's supposed to go in the rigid sharps container.
Alright, I'm ready to use this equipment. I'm going to turn it on.
Wait, wrong. Always be sure the equipment is ready to use before you actually use it. This should be latched.
Oh my god, there's a fire! Oh my god, James, go get the fire extinguisher!
Where's the fire extinguisher?
Always know what a fire extinguisher is. It is over there.
Oh, thank you. Never mind. I turned this on, but I don't need it anymore.
Wrong. Never unplug the equipment using the wire, and always make sure the equipment is turned off before unplugging.
Okay.
Wrong.
What am I doing wrong?
You're not even wearing any PPE. Goggles, aprons, face masks, gloves. You're not even wearing shoes. Come on, step out.
What are you talking about?
Come on, man. You gotta put on shoes at least. Let's start off with the physical safety. It includes electrical safety, fire safety, lab equipment safety, and glassware safety. In electrical safety, the equipment must be grounded, don't overload circuits, don't use equipment with frayed wires, and be sure to unplug during repairs. For fire safety, always make sure you know where safety equipment such as fire extinguishers and fire blankets are. As you can see, right there's a fire extinguisher. And also make sure you are aware on what to do if a fire occurs, such as race, rescue, alert, contain, and evaluate. And how to use a fire extinguisher to put out the fire, like pass, pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. In fire safety, keep hair, clotting away from flames, store flammable chemicals in fireproof cabinets, have accessible fire extinguishers and blankets, and have fire drills to know how to escape in case of an emergency. In glassware safety, use heat-resistant glass only. And regarding broken, chipped, and crackled glass, clean up with a brush and dustpan and dispose in a rigid sharps container using gloves.
The other type of hazard is a chemical hazard, and the types of chemical hazards are flammable, corrosive, reactive, and toxic. The use of chemicals in a research laboratory is inevitable, and the potential for harm or injury could be significant if they are misused or mishandled. OSHA has developed the OSHA Lab Standard, requires laboratories to identify hazards, determine employee exposures, and develop a chemical hygiene plan, CHP, including standard operating procedures. The Lab Standard applies to the laboratory use of chemicals and mandates the RIN SOPs, standard operating procedures, addressing the particular hazards and precautions required for safe use. This goes hand in hand with experimental design and planning. Both standards require providing safety data sheets and employee training. For chemical storage, they must be stored in proper containers and proper cabinets. Labels provide info on proper storage, and be sure to dispose every chemical properly. In the case where chemicals get spilled, use a chemical spill kit to properly and safely dispose of the chemical.
The third type of hazard is a biological hazard. Biological hazards include potential exposures to allergens, infectious zoonotics, and experimental agents such as viral vectors. Allergens, ubiquitous in animal research facilities, are one of the most important health hazards, yet they are frequently overlooked. Lab personnel must follow universal, standard, and transmission-based precautions in order to prevent any type of biological hazard. Work practice controls and engineering practice controls are also important steps to prevent biological misfortunes. The exposure control plan is also a vital aspect when considering biological hazards. The exposure control plan contains very important information for employees who can be potentially exposed to particular hazards. It has the necessary training required for all employees, work and engineering practice controls, safe handling procedures, and etc.
The Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, OSHA, was passed to prevent workers from being killed or seriously harmed at work. The law requires that employers provide their employees with working conditions that are free of known dangers. The Act created the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, which sets and enforces protective workplace safety and health standards. OSHA also provides information, training, and assistance to workers and employers. To help assure a safe and healthful workplace, OSHA also provides workers with the right to receive information and training about hazards, methods to prevent harm, and the OSHA standards that apply to their workplace. The training must be in a language you can understand. Also, observe testing that is done to find hazards in the workplace and get test results, and review records of work-related injuries and illness, and get copies of their medical records, and request OSHA to inspect their workplace, and lastly, use their rights under the law free from retaliation and discrimination.